All right, let's jump into it. Last day of the month, of course, February. So short month here. So 28th of Feb, just past 11. So quarter past 11, 14 past 11 to be exact, and that. And look, I'll start off with gold. And look, basically, overview. Everything got smashed overnight. More tariff talk and that sort of rearing its head again. But as I said, I'll start with gold because this is one that I've absolutely just demolished this week. We've seen that it's come back and it absolutely nailed it. Look at this coming down to that 23% fib line. There was actually a fairly decent little reaction. This is on the daily here, so we could see that big sell down there, which is great. Um, the reaction it got off this line here was actually quite big. Well, big is probably a big, larger word to use without using the word big over and over. However, anyway, whatever. Point is, it hit there and bang, market said, yep, that's enough for me. And they took it and they actually bounced it quite strong because this is, 67, that's 15 buck bounce up off this here. And then we had the tariff talk sort of come in over here as well. But, I mean, that's neither here nor there. It doesn't mean we're at a bottom. It doesn't mean anything really. It's just that, like myself, I got off at 69 and 70, as I always sort of do. I'll put sort of price target, put the sort of TPs just in front of it, just so it's better to get filled than to try and squeeze out every last little cent. Yeah, you miss a couple of them and that, like sort of coming through those 90s areas and that. I was sort of getting off at 60, what am I talking about? 96. And then, it comes down to 91. This one came down to 88. So, miss a couple of bucks here, but you get the fill. So I've been short through this area here. I've been short through this area here, here. Boom, boom, boom. It's been a very big week for the sort of gold sells for myself. So it's in a bit of a sort of tough position at the moment because, it's hit the first price target. That's fine. Look, a little recap to sort of go back of it all. I mean, everybody knows it's been coming down, but the break of this trend, that was the signal. And this is what I sort of say about these things. The trend, particularly, so like, if you look at the reaction, I covered this as it was happening as well. The reaction that was happening every single time, the change of the pattern now. Every time buyers stepped in, every time buyers stepped in, every time buyers stepped in, all of a sudden it had five closes under here, came back up, retested twice, and this last little bit here was that's the last hurrah, and then bang, that was retest of the breakout level of this large trend. And what I say, or the way I describe it, price needs to be punished. You need to pay the cost for breaking trend. It's like breaking the rules. Okay, that's fine. You know what? You need to pay the price. Just want to do this. Um, and that's what's happened. That's what we've seen happen here. And prices come down, and it's been a great short. Look, if you stand back realistically, as I said, we're at the 23% of this move. We're still super bullish here. It could still come down and still be super bullish because this is the structure. Look, I cover this every day. We move up, we find resistance. We move back, we find support. Support is generally, given to whatever time frame you're trading, support is generally where you've seen the resistance recently. We haven't really seen a large loss of resistance on the way up here. This area here is resistance. So once we break here, this can be a back test area. But for now, the real sort of back test area is all the way back down here, 2780s. Because if you zoom out and we put it onto a higher time frame, lost a little arrows, but whatever. There's your breakout. Where's your last resistance? This hasn't had any resistance through here. It's got little platforms of support, certainly underneath 2846. That's your move. Probably actually under this wick just over here, 2835. That's your move should you go under here. But realistically, in the scheme of sort of a structural sort of setup, it hasn't had a proper back test here. So that means that it could very well continue to come down like this. I'm not saying it will, but I'm just saying, structurally that is a possibility. And then sort of course, you find support, you find the people that sort of want to go, okay, yep, see, and then you get the third leg. And the third leg is the one that's going to determine lower high, okay, maybe we come back into the range, double top, maybe we form a large range up the top over here, high, high, we go T3000. That's the possibilities. And, anybody that tells you it's definitely doing one or the other's just bullshitting to themselves and to you. So, ignore that. So anyway, that is a possibility. And look, we had these measured moves with the triangles. They got taken out. I mean, this measured move here got taken out to the cent pretty much, which, on a near $3,000 um, asset, that's very, very precise. Anyway, look, that's that. That's the bigger picture. So if we get back onto the smaller ones, get these out of the way. That's just to be aware that, look, this could definitely come back down over here. Now, I closed my shorts at 69.70. I did very well. That's great. Good on that. Whatever. Point is, the reason I closed them is because one, we hit a price target, and two, I feel that there's a potential that we could get a little bit of a squeeze now. You know what I mean? It's short, 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 short. This has gone down far enough now that maybe Joe Sixpack and the other sort of people that go, hey, you know what? I might do something about it. You know what? Gold's going down. I'm going to short it. Let's like I've seen it's going down, and they see these things and they hear the number 2777 and they're like, wow, that's I'm going to be a super trader. Look at me, and it's going to drop another 3%, another $89. Geez, only $89 off now. You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of mentality. So what does the market do when that stuff happens? Well, they go, okay, let's school them, because the profits that are around here. Look, this could still just go and melt down a little bit more. I'm just saying that this is the general idea that profits aren't made for the people that are last to the trade. Profits are made by the people who have been shorting up here. I was shorting at 51 and 52. I was shorting all the way through this whole little period up over here, in and out, in and out, in and out. You know what I mean? So the idea that sort of somebody jumps on the board here and thinks they're going to short it and be a superstar, well, that's easy money. And this is what you got to think that, like, there's somebody else on the other side of these trades. And, if they're really determined, yeah, it could go down here straight and just melt down again. But there's also the possibility that we see this up here, bang. Because this move up here, what does it do? It drags in fresh pigs to the slaughter, fresh capital, fresh liquidity. Liquidity's the word, but I'm just sick of hearing people go, it's a liquidity grab and all this kind of shit, whatever. You know what I mean? What it is, it's dragging in new money. It's dragging in people that sort of think, hey, look, I've bought the bottom and it's going to the top over here. We've had a day or two of going up. Well, that must be it. It's the bottom and now it's going to the top. They put their stops underneath and then they rip it back down underneath them. And they take out all those positions and that. And the people that sort of like, were selling it down here, well, they go, well, you know what? Look at me. I've got another chance to sell it at 2,900. I'm going to sell it down. I'm going to sell it here now. It's much better than selling it at 28.75. 25 buck extra. This is just picking out random numbers, but this is the general idea and the flow of it. So I do think there is potential for a bit of a squeeze here to sort of maybe have a day or two moving back up. Maybe come. It won't necessarily come up here. If I can get it at 29.10, then I'll probably load up for another little run down here because I don't think this has played out yet. I don't think price has been significantly punished enough for breaking this trend. This is a big trend. It's held it all year. It's gone a couple of $100 or whatever. Where we call the bottom from? Down over here or something, yeah? So it's gone from, wow, geez, 25.83. It's gone nearly, the better part of $400, 400 buck move, and it's pulled back 100, or to the 23%. I don't think that's enough of a punishment for breaking that trend. It could be. Like we could see that this is just boom and it turns into a bigger, larger range over here. But I think that sort of regardless of it all, I think if we do squeeze up like this, structurally wise, you need to have your down, find support, move up, find resistance. This leg needs to happen, and I think that leg will take out these lows, and we will go a little bit lower. But that's the trade. This one here is the one that I want to be a part of. I don't want to be part of this one right now. I don't have enough look, I am a short-term trader, yes, and there could be opportunities, but I think the risk is just too large on it all. Plus, I've had a very good week and a very good couple of weeks, so I'm just happy to sort of just sit and let things play out just for now. But I do believe that we could potentially see a little bit of a squeeze. That's fine. As we can see, there was a support through this area over here. This is a good area where we could sort of say, you know what I mean, that this sort of, 2906, let's move this down a little bit. Let's move it, make it here, 2505. This little support area here could be a little bit of a short area to sort of to load up again. Give RSI a chance to cool off a little bit, get to suck some people in. I mean, that's a $20 move if it can come. So it's a decent little squeeze if it can. And then we can sort of see if we can sort of really rocket that down. And I think, look, I think the 38%, 28.13 is definitely sort of a potential, particularly if we do get this little push up and push down here. We're going to come into a bit of support around the 50s. So 50s would be your first sort of target. And then if you break the 50s, then, so on and so on. You're looking at 38 fib and then sort of like those 27.80s for the sort of big major sort of daily time frame sort of retest. But yeah, I could see a little bit of a little bit of a squeeze happening here. All right, and on to Aussie. Got absolutely demolished last night. So I did have a couple little buys here, got absolutely smashed apart. So yeah, it's a bit hard to sort of think what to do with the Aussie at this point because it was just, it was pulling back and that's fine. I was short from above 64 actually. I was short, so I did very, not as good as gold, but I did pretty well on that sort of through the shorts coming down here. Caught some little bounces, caught some little bounces, caught some little bounces. And yesterday, it just, I don't know what happened with it sort of through the start of the day, but it kind of sort of broke there, came back, retested, and then, of course, all that tariff talk last night. We had the US data as well, GDP, which came in flat. We had the numbers. Actually, let's flick across to the news here. Excuse me. A bit of Aussie data, nothing major coming out overnight. So we had just having a look, CPI down. Japan, I don't think it affects things too much. These are the ones that I was looking at. The claims here shot right up. 20,000, which is up 10% on what their expectations were and what they were last month. I saw a few sort of things sort of claiming that this is due to sort of Doge or Dodge or whatever it is, sort of firing all those people, which is kind of funny if you think about it. For these sort of people that they're actually sort of going through with it all, and people don't think it's going to happen, and then it does. Well, there you go. That's a fuck around and find out kind of thing. GDP came in flat. Durable goods orders down, and then month on month is actually up quite a fair bit there as well. But I think the bigger move of this, like this came out, but soon after we also had, oh, sorry, just pending bit of data, sort of pending home sales. That's a fairly large chunk drop off. So look, the data itself is a little bit of a mix. You know what I mean? This doesn't sort of scream, oh yeah, sweet, let's buy a US dollar on it. You know what I mean? Yes, you sort of beat on a couple of these ones here, and this is a pretty significant beat on the month on month. Um, but it doesn't scream like it's not all guns blazing up kind of thing. We got Aussie here. So, you shouldn't have expected necessarily such a big sort of rocket with it. So the move mainly sort of came with Trump's comments afterwards about the tariffs. And it was basically that March 4th, you got Mexico and Canada sort of going ahead. You got an additional 10% on China. This is what affected Aussie. The whole talk of tariff is not good for Aussie, but China specifically, they don't like it. And as you can see here, it was trying to hold a channel, and this is just what you call capitulation. Bang. And the market just got rid of Aussie very quickly. So where are we at here? I mean, this drop from this candle here, lost 1% very quickly. This is 4 hours, so it's sort of overnight. But yeah, it got absolutely sort of walloped. So look, it would have been nice for this. Again, we talk about these structural sort of retests and that. As you can see, it was trying to hold this level through here, just around where our buy zone was. Obviously, when that didn't hold, well, bang, it just chops away through all of the stuff down here. So it's taking out these lows, even from sort of like these were tariff talk things as well, I'm pretty sure last time. Big gap down, boom, back up into the range, bang, bang, bang. So obviously, heading into this consolidation, we saw a continuation of the direction that it led into the consolidation. This isn't even consolidating right now. This is just capitulating. This is just let's get rid of it. Out, 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 out. So you got to think, how far down will it come? I mean, this last little move up here, I don't even use fibs that get this big generally, but that is absolutely, that last kick up there, bang, right back there. So it's completely undone. Was it Feb? So the whole month's work. So this must be an ugly looking monthly candle. Okay, so I mean, not great, but yeah, so actually very not great because you got rejection underneath this area, big push up, rejection underneath this area. It could still see a little bit more garbage around this area down the bottom over here, particularly if these tariffs and that do go into effect. I think that's really going to sort of damage Aussie a little bit. And look, we could still be vulnerable. We could still be in 61 territory. I was calling. Well, let's get back onto the actual charts. I was calling sort of mid 62s, so 62.50s as a potential possibility yesterday. I didn't think it would come this quickly. Honestly, I thought the 70s would have held, which is where I had this little zone through the middle, which when I look at this now, it doesn't actually look like there's really a great deal. There's a bit through here, obviously, but this is more a midway point through this range. There's a little bit of stuff back over here, but it's not a major one. So probably a little oversight of mine to put a little zone here. It did hold here for a little minute. Um, maybe half a minute. I don't know. Yeah, around the 70s zone, sort of a little bit, and then just bang, brr, and it's just dribbling, dribbling, dribbling along here. So we'll see what they do with DXY when that comes on board in about 15 minutes. I might be with 1 sec. 15 minutes to half an hour. Just updating a few other charts, see if anything's come up. No, 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 nothing yet. So yeah, another 15 minutes or so, we should have a bit of an idea of where they're gonna move with it. So I'll get to DXY in a moment. So with Aussie, okay, it's down into these lows over here. So there's a good chance that look, it's undone this whole move. You see a little bit of reprieve of this, but you know what I mean. Till you see some of that tariff stuff abated, it's not really sort of in any sort of mode to recover. So there's a good chance that sort of potentially any sort of pushback up just gets sold into. 54 above this kind of area would be probably somewhere where you could say, okay, we might get a little bit of a push up here. Excuse me. But as I said, this is ugly. So at best, like, these things don't, like, you've got to think if it's the direction, it's not going to go here, 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 like this. Like, structurally, that's not how something would work. What you could see, best case scenario for Aussie, would be a rounded sort of bottom like this. Oop, geez, get out of there. This kind of thing here. So it would be sort of like, an attempt to move up. Okay, bang, the guys that sort of reject off here, sell it back down. A second attempt, sell back down, take out the low. Third attempt, high lows, high lows, high lows. Only once you start to see these kind of things happening here, this one will come up to these levels, it'll be sell back down. Once you see the buyers progressing and moving up, 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 and we see a failure for the sellers that were here, the sellers that were here, sellers here, sellers here, sellers here, sellers here. Once we see a failure of them to sort of hold their levels and stop pushing it down, plus the buyers moving up, do we see any type of sort of recovery? But even so, it would just be this sort of rounded bottom like that. That's your best case scenario on an Aussie at the moment. Look, it's into an area where it's undone all those moves. So I reckon there is a chance that we see a little bit of a sort of move up. As I said, DXY just kept on grinding last night. I've got it on another chart, which I'm looking at as I say that. So it doesn't look like it's, like it doesn't, I don't know. It didn't give up the move, which is something a little bit different. But at the same time, it's not super confident, I think, with it all. I think the thing is, it's sort of like tariff is what's holding up US at the moment because as we saw a second ago with the data, it's not all guns blazing, all roses for the US dollar, economic data wise. So it's tariffs that are really sort of holding it up. So if we get closer to these dates, or if we get any sort of headlines which go, okay, I don't even know, like maybe this is actually an oversight on me, but what does he really sort of want with them at the moment? Because I know it's sort of like, reciprocal tariffs, that's one thing, which is, okay, fair enough. You tax us, we tax you. Let's all just basically pass the bucks back and forth. But with Canada and Mexico, I know there was a bunch of things. I'll see if I can find this now, actually. But he put on a big post yesterday about the drugs coming in. Here we go. I don't know. So I'll put this on across. Actually, here we do it over here. Boom. So drugs are still pouring into the country from Mexico and Canada at very high and unacceptable levels and that. So look, it's still about the drugs and that sort of stuff flow coming in there. I guess all these things, partly the sort of precursor stuff or whatever, is made or is uh, coming from China. So they're in the firing line with this as well. But I don't know exactly what he wants from Canada and from Mexico. So that's something I could look into. Um, as to sort of like, I mean, like if they make the promise to, hey, yeah, we're going to fight it, is that it? I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? What does it actually look like where he's happy with what their response is? Because that's what we need to look out for. If we do see that kind of stuff happening, that's when you start to see these kind of moves come back a little bit. Because you go, oh, okay, tariff is there, and US dollar will sell off because the economic data is not holding up US dollar at the moment. The tariff talk is holding up the US dollar. So if you take that away, then in theory the thing that's propping up the US dollar falls over, and then. But I've been saying that we're going to get a little bit of sustained US dollar buy, so this isn't a real shock, sort of coming through. The speed, okay, that did sort of catch me offside a little bit. But the idea that we have some sustained US dollar buying, I've been saying it for the last week or so, that we're coming into those stronger support zones with that as well. Another thing to keep in mind, particularly with Aussie as well, is just the idea that we've got uh, Jim Chalmers, the treasurer, going over to the US to speak with, I think you guys call his name's Blinkett or something like this, in regards to Australia potentially having uh, sorry, I'm not doing too great with my words this morning, having an exemption from the tariffs, which is a possibility only for the fact that I think that the US is in a surplus with Australia. Plus, we don't really sell products. We sell minerals and that kind of sort of stuff. So that's stuff that they need and they can use. We're not getting them to buy sort of gadgets and cars. So, you know what I mean? It's a little bit less. It's not really they can't just come up with iron ore themselves. They need to get it from somewhere. Or whatever we're sort of selling. I know there was a big sort of talk about copper the other day, and I'm sure they've got a lot of minerals and that kind of stuff there. But if they can sort of, give a little bit of leniency to Australia, that's another thing that could be moving the Aussie up here. So they're definitely things to keep in mind because those headlines pop, we'll see Aussie will rip. It may get sold into, but it'll definitely rip. All right, cool. So in the short term, I would say above 40, you're looking at say 55. I don't see it going above 55 at the moment. I'd say at best you probably get this kind of move up here and then sell back down. But we'll see how we go. See what they do with the US dollar today. All right, and move along. We've got silver. Actually, let's do DXY because while we're talking about it, this is what I was saying. So it was just grinding last night. This was the big move after. So this is 12:30. So as I said, market sold down. Sorry, as you saw, market sold down off the data, and then the headlines came out, and it just shot it all the way up here, which, as I keep saying, means that data is not the driver. They're not buying it because they're in such a strong economic position. They're buying it because um, the tariff talk, and they're worried about that. So yeah, it was a bit wish-washy after the initial move, but it did keep grinding higher, higher, higher. Let's make this one a little bit smaller. Make you different color. Give me orange. So look, a little break of here. You could see a little bit of cooling. So 15 mils. Do something a little bit more reasonable. Yeah. Look, there's a lot of little areas coming up through here, but I could see this probably pulling back a little bit. Um, the pullback would be probably just that though, a pullback and then reload and go. I think the falling resistance that we sort of pulled out the other day, this a little wedge, I think is actually starting to play out a little bit here now. It came into resistance pretty much where we sort of saw those last previous highs over here. So kind of stopping on point. So we could see a little bit of a cooling off down here. As to where it comes back to, look, tops like sort of the deeper of the pullback, I think would be this potential area over here, 106.72. But again, I think that because of resistance, the top of this little box, and this is what I was saying, once it breaks out of this box, we're going to go, and it did, bang, out the top here. I think that could be a support for a retest of this lot here. I really thought we would get this one shakedown. We do have PCE tonight. And as I said, sort of like with the economic data being weaker, that could be a reason to undo part of this move. But I think this whole sort of larger move here has been enacted. So I think any sort of sell down will be bought up. But it doesn't mean that you can't see a quick down and then back up, given how the news may sort of play out tonight as well. At the moment, that doesn't look. Anything's possible. You've got to cover both bases. I get this, but put this over here. This, as a sort of structural thing, does it? It shows, you know what I mean. It's grind, 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 grind. These are stairs. You want to sort of like up the stairs, down the escalator kind of thing. That's what these are. This is like, okay, grind, 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 grind. We found resistance where we kind of sort of thought, yep, okay, that's fine. A little bit overbought. This on 1 hour. What's the 4 hour say? 4 hour, yeah, smaller, smaller, smaller. I think this could definitely sort of get a little bit of a pullback here. As to where, let's chuck a fib on it and let's find out. 50% pullback, 106.76. This could come in line, as I said, with gold having a bit of a squeeze as well. But I do believe any pullbacks here, I think are going to be bought up. I do think we have, high 107s to 108s in the firing line soon. Excuse me. All right, silver held up better than gold, but is basically following the path that we said. So it's bounced up, and that's why I said I was a little bit skeptical to buy it. Came down, retested its lows, broke them, closed in a pretty ugly kind of position, but not as bad as gold. Gold obviously was like this down here, so really got sort of smacked on the nose with that one there. So, excuse me. All right, so I've taken out all these wicks, so really sort of going back again. It's only started a fair bit now, so it's only a couple of weeks, but has certainly come off a fair bit right now. We're down at the 61% retracement. I still think this could probably go a little bit lower, to be honest. 31 is probably where I'm sort of be looking at, if not lower. I expect a bit of a reaction at 31. It's a big round number. It was a resistance. It was a support. Yeah, 31, I reckon you could get a little bit of a bounce off. Um, but again, it's just not looking superstar, to be honest. Um, yeah, if I could get down lower these levels, like sort of, 30, 70, 30 definitely I'll chuck in a fair whack. Um, but, for the time being, I'm happy to hold off on this one. I have been shorting through this area over here, but yeah, no, I'm sort of happy to sit on the sidelines with silver for now. Similar with gold. And copper back underneath, respecting this zone here. As you can see, this little bounce. So it had that big push up off the headline from Trump. Big push up off the headline from Trump. Sold into, retest that sort of breakout point, second effort, and boom, sold into. So sellers are using this and they're selling into the pump, selling into the pump. I'm still just waiting it down around the 61%. I think this could be an error. I think it shows here with these little pump ups and that shows that, look, things can be, given the right scenario, we can be seeing a higher move. I think these kind of moves are there, but you're just being met with some people like, that wanted to sort of get out. They took that big headline and they got out. Bit of a pump, they got out. Like, I don't think that this means it's sort of like there's a difference when sort of things are going down and it flies up like this, takes out all the stops, and then boom, you need to take out the lows, which unfortunately that's where my buy spot is at the moment, but it didn't do it in one go. And there was another effort. So to me, it's up, down, up, down. It's a tussle through this area here. So if I could see a quick little sort of shoot down to get the fills, I reckon I'm happy with that sort of buy area down here. I think the sort of like, the fact that it's moving up, taking out the highs, but the buyers are still moving up, sellers are moving down. I think this could sort of definitely see a little spike down and then maybe pick up and then go. I wouldn't be shorting this at this stage, put it that way. Cool. And I'll just finish off quickly with China because that broke through that falling resistance, which, as you can see, so respected it a number of times here. And once it went through, dribble, and then bang, took off last night. Look, I think this could still sort of move up a little bit. Oops. No, what are we doing here? Get the full chart on. I think this could still move up a little bit here, but I think it's going to be capped once you get around this sort of 730 level. And this is what I was looking for, potentially this larger, bigger range. This little area here didn't really seem to do much, so we can get rid of that. But I reckon that this area up here, should it move up, 3731-ish area, I think that could definitely cap things, just in the medium term and that. I don't see it necessarily breaking through. Look, if it does break through, you're going back up to sort of seven, like major areas over here. And, maybe the tariff stuff could get it up over there. We have to wait to sort of see their response and also see what actually happens with the follow through. But headlines are definitely going to be super important, which is annoying as all hell because headlines come at any time. You know what I mean? Like it's just like, oh, market starts flying. You go scrambling looking for stuff. It's not like, okay, prep your positions and get ready for the data. It's you're doing something and then all of a sudden it goes sideways. Well, it doesn't go sideways, it goes through the roof or goes through the floor, and then you're scrambling to sort of work out what the actual idea of it is. So look, if we see some sort of as I keep saying, tariffs are the talk. If tariffs abate, then things will revert. But you can see what the market thinks of the tariff ideas. They don't like it, to say the least. So yeah, that's something to keep an eye on. And finally, let's have a look at gold silver ratio. Look, broke down. Well, broke down from this little area, but obviously bang, fire back up. So this is a second effort back out of this big zone here. So, again, look, I think that it doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence for this to go higher immediately in this move. Just for the fact that, it's down, back up like this. I think this could see a little bit of back and forth sideways grind through here. As I said, maybe pull back down here. But I think certainly if you take out these highs here, um, Gold and silver going another leg down. Should you take out 92.50? I think that's sort of certainly one to watch because I think if we get there, then we're going a bit higher, and metals are going to cop a little bit of a whack. All right, that's it for me.